The film is rated M for violence, but personally, and look, I've got to be honest with you, I didn't find it a particularly violent film. So anyway, let me talk through what kind of content there is in the film, and if that helps you make a decision of whether you want to see it or take the whole family, then I hope it helps. So let's start with the violence. And look, I do understand there's a couple of things that might be upsetting for a few people. So let's get straight to those. One of them is an extended scene, kind of like a Chinatown sort of, fist fighting, being shot at sequence. And it does go on for quite a while, where people are, flipped and thrown around, and they appear to be beaten and pursued through this Chinatown area. And you do see kind of injuries happen. So that is, definitely a violent scene in the film. But I guess worse than that, there's two major scenes which stand out, which, as I said, might be considered upsetting for some people. One of them is the opening scene when a father's watching on, where a son is watching his magician father, and this man attempts to do a magic trick which goes wrong. The magic trick is involved being in a safe underwater, and he has to escape. So this kind of sets up the tone for the film in terms of this character's motivations, and the discussion of the absent father or the lost father occurs quite frequently through the film. So if you have a fear of claustrophobia or of drowning, or if you've recently lost a parent, then yeah, absolutely, I can see how this scene would affect you. There's another later scene which is very similar, and again, it's the idea of being trapped in a very confined space and also being trapped underwater. So yes, if you do have fears, that could certainly bring those to the surface for you. The other scene, and this is quite spoilery, so I'll try not to give anything away, but there's a scene set in an aircraft, and some people are thrown out of a moving airplane. And look, this, in films we see this kind of stuff happen all the time, where it's a kind of throwaway henchman that we don't really care about, and they just get thrown out the plane, and we don't care. These particular characters that get thrown out, we do actually get a chance to care about a little bit more. So again, this could play on fears, so fears of being in a plane crash, fears of falling, those kind of things. Yep, I can see how they might affect some people. So that's really all of the violence. There's some motorcycle crashes, and there's some other kind of, bits and pieces of violence, but that's kind of it. So moving into the blood and gore, you do see a bloody split lip, but that's the only blood and gore that you see out of any of the violence that I've discussed. But what you do see is a woman, she's a magician, and she appears to decapitate herself. So she's actually talking when she does it. So it's obviously a magic trick. I'd be very surprised if anyone found this shocking to watch, but you never know. So there is a decapitation scene. There's also a scene when someone's arm gets chopped off. Again, it's treated fairly light-heartedly, but there's a scene when a chopped off arm is also thrown, and it appears to be quite bloody. So if you're squeamish, then yeah, you might not like that bit. But that's pretty much it in terms of the violence and the blood and the gore. So moving on to the sex and nudity. There's no actual sex scenes in the film anywhere. So for that reason, it's pretty family friendly. There's a couple of references to sex. There's some chat, and it's very brief, chat about sex and high school partners and multiple partners, previous partners, that kind of thing. There's a bit of skimpy clothing and cleavage, but that really is it. Sex doesn't have a strong theme in this film at all, neither does nudity. Alcohol does have a slightly stronger presence. You don't really see too many people drinking, but there's one scene is set in a bar, so there's lots of alcohol present in the bar, and you do see people at a party holding glasses of champagne, that kind of thing. You do see some people drinking champagne. So yes, alcohol does have a presence, but again, it's not really dominating in the film at all. Gambling also has a presence. There is a casino setting, and you see people playing, I think it's roulette and poker in the film. So yeah, there's a bit of gambling present in the film as well. The only other thing to mention is the swearing. Swearing, again, isn't particularly strong in the film. There's a few S words, A words, bit of name calling. Someone is called a bastard at one point, and there's a couple of slang terms for women. I think a woman is called a floozy and a bimbo. So not particularly nice, but also not particularly derogatory, particularly for cinema. And there's a few religious exclamations, a couple of obscene finger gestures and that kind of thing. So for me anyway, I actually found the content fairly accessible. I didn't find anything particularly offensive. One thing that might be worth mentioning is that it's a fairly long film. So if you find it hard to, sit for the 2 hours, or you have a child with you or a younger person who might need a few bathroom breaks, then just be aware that the duration is fairly long. But other than that, it's actually quite a fun film. I mean, it's very much like the first film. It just plays on the same kind of ideas in the first film with the magic and the illusions and all the tricks. There's a lot of tricks in this film. Most of them do get explained to you, so you're kind of in on the jokes once they're explained, if you like, but you don't really ever know what's going to happen next in this film, which makes it quite exciting to watch. So I do hope you enjoy the film. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think of Now You See Me Too.